Hello everybody, this is Ghassan Qadamani. Today we shall explain the application of contribution principle in insurance. Now talk about methods of calculating contribution. Actually, there are two methods calculating contribution. The first one, which is based on the sum insured. In this method, the amount of loss is apportioned by reference to the sum insured of each policy to the total amount insured by the two policies. So, if we have a person having insurance with two company A and B, so the indemnity from company A will equal the sum insured of policy A divided by the total sum insured. The total sum insured here, it means that the sum insured in policy A and policy B, okay, multiplied by the loss. And the company B similarly will equal, which means the indemnity from company B will equal the sum insured of policy B divided by total sum insured of two policies multiplied by the loss. Remember that this method is applied where the two policies are not subject to average. Example. For example, policy A sum insured $10,000, policy B sum insured $20,000, and if the loss is $6,000, how will the two insurance companies contribute to the loss? Look here to the apportionment. Now, in this case, policy A will pay a proportion of the loss which equal to its sum insured 10,000 divided by total sum insured, which is 10,000 plus 20,000, which is 30,000, multiplied by the loss 6,000, which equal to $2,000. Similarly, policy B will pay 20,000, which is sum insured, divided by 30,000, same total of 10 and 20, multiplied by 6,000, which equal to $4,000. Notice that the total indemnity from the two policies, 2,000 plus 4,000, will equal 6,000, which is the amount of the loss. So in this case, the insured will benefit nothing from having more than one policy, except that he has to pay two premiums, but at the time of the loss, he will have indemnity from both policies or both companies, totaling the amount of the loss. This is the simplest method for calculating contribution. Next. Now, most policies will not be simple like that, so we'll need independent liability method. We discuss or explain this method first, and I'll tell you when do we have to use this method. Now, the liability of each policy, in this case, the liability of each policy under different policies or different companies will be calculated as if the other did not exist. That's why it's called independent liability. So we calculate the liability for each policy independently of any other policies covering the loss. Then the loss is then shared in between two policies in proportion to the independent liability of each. Now, when do you use this method? This method is applied usually in property, and usually it's applied when there is average, because when average is there in policies, now the indemnity by the companies will be different or possibly different. Also, when there are deductible or excess, because this will make the liability between two policies that are different. For example, the one policy may have a deductible or excess. The other policy may have no deductible or even the deductibles or excess may be different in both policies. So to take into account the average or the deductibles in the policies, we have to use this method. We'll take an example to explain it more. Look at this example. In January 2024, David insured his factory for $1.5 million under fire policy with insurance company A. The policy contains a deductible of $5,000. 2 months later, he approached APC Bank for a loan and the latter insisted that the factory is to be insured for insurance company B for $2 million. So what happened up to this stage here? David has insured his factory $1.5 million with company A, and there is a deductible $5,000, and also at the request of the bank, he has another insurance policy with company B for $2 million. So we have two policies covering the same property, which is the factory. Okay, what happened then? In August 2024, the factory suffered a fire loss of $500,000, and the loss adjuster estimated the actual value of property at the time of the loss to be at $2.5 million. So we notice here from this example, if we take the first policy alone, the sum insured is 1.5, while the actual value at loss is 2.5. So there is underinsurance and average should be applied. And if you look at the second policy, sum insured 2 million and also the actual value 2.5 million, so average should be applied. So in this case, we should use the independent liability method. How will the two insurance companies contribute to the loss? We'll see how. Now, the solution for the above mentioned example will be as follows. Since the sum insured is less than the actual sum insured and the policy is subject to average clause, then contribution is calculated independently as follows. First, we shall calculate the liability for company A, as there is the only policy that covering the factory. Okay, in this case, so company A share of the loss will be equal to sum insured with company A divided by the actual value multiplied by the loss, which equal 1.5 million divided by 2.5 million. 1.5 million is the sum insured with company A divided by 2.5 million, the actual value, multiplied by the loss, which is 500,000, which equal to $300,000. Okay, now there is deductible under policy A or company A, so we have to deduct the deductible, which is 5,000 from 300,000. So company A share of the loss after deductible will equal to 300,000 minus 5,000, which equal $295,000. Now next step we shall calculate liability for company B in the same process, which equal now company B share of the loss will equal sum insured with B divided by the actual value at the time of the loss multiplied by the loss, which equal to, now sum insured with B, it was 2 million divided by the actual value, which is 2.5 million multiplied by the loss, which is 500,000, which equal to $400,000. That's it. Notice that for policy P, it was not mentioned that there is deductible or excess or anything. So this will be the liability for company P. So under independent liability, if there is only one policy issued for this factory, company A will pay $295,000. And if there is only one policy issued from company B for this factory, then the indemnity will be $400,000. Now, there are two policies. Now, if we take the two indemnities from company A and company B, total liabilities or total indemnity from company A and B will equal to $295,000 plus $400,000, which equal to $695,000. Notice that in this case, the total indemnities will be more than the actual loss, which is 500,000. So if they allow the insured to take the two indemnities from the two policies or two companies, then he will have some profit because his loss is 500,000. Okay, while he can have take an indemnity up to 695,000. So he'll have profit around 200,000, which is not allowed under insurance. So how we will manage this situation? Now, next step is we will apply contribution or make a portion between the two companies. Now, how? Let's look at this situation. Indemnity from A will equal to, this is the share of the loss from A, divided by the total share multiplied by the loss. The share of the loss, which means the loss that we have calculated before in the previous slide from company A. And the total share would be the share of loss from company A and the company B, okay, multiplied by the loss, which equal to the share of the loss as we have calculated previously was 295,000 divided by the total shares, which is share from A and B, 695,000, multiplied by the loss 500,000, which equal to $230. Then indemnity from B similarly will equal B share of the loss divided by total share of the loss, which equal to B share of the loss was, as we have calculated in previous slide, 400,000 divided by total shares, which is the same as here, 695,000 multiplied by the loss 500,000 equal to $287,770. Now, if you add the two indemnities, now in this case, after we make a portion of the indemnity from A and indemnity from B, what will be the total indemnity in this case will be 230 indemnity from A plus indemnity from B 287.77, which equal exactly 500,000, which is the same amount of the loss. So as you can notice now, the insured have two separate policies from two different companies paying two premiums for insuring the same factory. Maybe he suppose that he, in the case of a claim, he will have two indemnities and have some profit, but we notice by using contribution, he will have no benefit from profit. He will not gain any profit. The amount of the loss, which was 500,000, both companies will make contribution and share according to liability of their policies, and both companies will pay under their policies up to amount of the loss, which is 500,000. So the insured will benefit nothing. He will benefit nothing from insuring more than one policy covering the same risk, but he has to pay two premiums for the two companies. I hope that by this video we have explained the methods of calculating contribution in insurance. Thank you.